A quiet suburban driveway erupts into chaos. A pregnant black woman grips the steering wheel as a fake HOA cop pounds on her window, screaming she's trespassing. Two more enforcers surround her, shouting orders like they own the street. Fear grips her belly as she realizes she's completely trapped. She whispers into her phone, "Marcus, help me." Little do they know, her husband, a battle-hardened Navy SEAL, is racing home, and the moment they made the first mistake, everything is about to change. Drop your city or country in the comments, hit like, and subscribe, because this channel stands for stories where the powerless fight back, courage wins, and justice always speaks loud. Tanya and Marcus Brown had just moved into a quiet suburban neighborhood, hoping for peace. Tanya, 7 months pregnant, was glowing with excitement as she decorated the nursery, carefully arranging each detail for their first child. Marcus, a Navy SEAL recently back from deployment, wanted nothing more than to create a safe, serene environment for his wife. Their home was near the entrance of a private community with a strict HOA, known for enforcing arbitrary rules, but Marcus always stayed compliant, believing it would keep trouble at bay. From the very first week, Tanya noticed men driving around in pickup trucks with flashing yellow lights, wearing shirts labeled HOA enforcement. They weren't real police, but they carried themselves like they were. They stopped residents, demanded IDs, and even tried to impose fees for minor things like a flower bed too close to the sidewalk. Most neighbors quietly complied, intimidated by the display of fake authority. Tanya tried to ignore them, focusing on her pregnancy, while Marcus reassured her, "These guys pick on the weak. We're safe here." But one man, Greg, lingered, watching her every move, his gaze full of menace. Marcus didn't think much of it, until one afternoon, Tanya returned from the grocery store to find Greg's truck blocking her driveway. She rolled down her window, hoping for a quick explanation, but Greg had no intention of letting her leave peacefully. He was about to cross a line, one that would change everything for the Browns. As Tanya pulled into her driveway, Greg jumped out of his truck like a predator, pounding on her car window. "Show me your ID." "You don't live here," he barked, his face twisted with aggression. Tanya's hands gripped the steering wheel, heart-pounding. "I'm pregnant, please back up," she pleaded. Within seconds, two more fake HOA enforcers arrived, forming a triangle around her car. One tried to open the back door, another shouted orders as if she had no right to her own home. Tanya fumbled for her phone and dialed Marcus, whispering urgently, "Baby, they're blocking me, please come." Marcus's voice dropped into a low, controlled tone. "Stay in the car. I'm on my way. Don't let them touch you." The fake enforcers grew more aggressive, leaning closer, shouting threats, and gesturing violently. Tanya felt her belly tighten, fear cutting through every thought. She was trapped, vulnerable, and completely alone, except for the call connecting her to Marcus. Every second stretched like an eternity, the danger escalating with each shouted word. Then Greg reached for her arm. Tanya let out a sharp scream, and in that instant, Marcus knew, it was time. The predator had just sealed his own fate. Greg yanked at Tanya's driver's door, trying to force it open. Tanya braced herself, clutching the edge, her heart hammering, every movement sending sharp pangs through her belly. "Stop! I'm pregnant," she screamed, but the men didn't listen. Their fake authority made them reckless, arrogant, and dangerous. The second enforcer pulled out a clipboard, waving a fake citation at her. $800 fine for trespassing, he sneered. Tanya's voice trembled. "I live here. My name is on the deed." But they didn't care. Fear was their weapon. She fumbled for her phone, hands shaking. "Marcus, hurry," she whispered, tears rolling down her cheeks. Her breathing grew shallow, tension and stress made her feel trapped, isolated. Each moment that passed, the enforcers pressed closer. Greg leaned over, spitting threats. "If you don't comply, we'll tow your car with you in it." Tanya's legs shook, panic gripped her. She felt a sharp cramp, stress, fear, maybe early labor. She pressed the phone tightly to her ear. Marcus's voice, calm and deadly, came through, "Stay inside. I'm coming." Don't let them touch you. One of the men reached for her wrist. Tanya flinched violently, gasping. The next second, Greg tried to grab her arm completely, leaning into the car like he could force her out. It was the moment that changed everything. Her scream pierced the quiet neighborhood, alerting neighbors, but no one dared intervene. They'd seen these HOA cops bully before. And then, the shadow appeared. Silent, controlled, lethal. Marcus had arrived. Every aggressive move, every threat, was about to be met with precision, power, and training the fake enforcers could never imagine. The predator was about to become the hunted. Marcus didn't yell. He didn't rush. He walked toward the men with steady, controlled steps, each one measured, silent, and full of intent. Greg didn't notice him at first, too focused on Tanya. By the time he turned, Marcus was right in front of him. "Take your hands off my wife," Marcus said, his voice low but deadly. Greg froze. The second and third enforcers glanced at each other, suddenly aware they were outmatched. One lunged, hoping to intimidate Marcus, but the Navy SEAL was lightning fast, sidestepping the attack and pinning him to the ground with precise, controlled force. "You're not an officer," Marcus said coldly, tightening his grip. "You're a thug pretending to be one." Tanya's chest heaved, tears streaming down her face, as she watched her husband neutralize the threat with calm efficiency. The men had underestimated him, and now the balance of power had completely flipped. Greg tried to yell, flail, pull free, but every movement was anticipated. The other two fake enforcers froze, realizing they had no advantage. Marcus positioned himself between Tanya and the men, eyes locked, body ready for any sudden move. The neighbors, previously terrified, started peeking through windows, capturing the moment on their phones. Every second added pressure, every breath amplified the intensity. Finally, one of the men made a desperate dash toward his truck, trying to flee. Marcus intercepted him in one fluid motion, dragging him out before he could escape. The tables were completely turned, the predators had become the hunted, and the neighborhood bore witness to it all. Marcus held control without chaos, protecting Tanya while exposing the fake HOA enforcers for what they truly were. By the end of this tense confrontation, it was clear, no intimidation, no fake badge, no threats could overpower courage, training, and a man fighting for his family. Within minutes, real police cars screeched into the quiet street, lights flashing, sirens blaring. Officers jumped out, assessing the scene immediately. They recognized Marcus's stance, his calm control, and the seriousness of the situation. "Sir, step back. We'll handle this from here," one commanded. Marcus complied, never taking his eyes off the three fake enforcers. Tanya clung to the car, breathing heavily, relief washing over her as a female officer checked her condition. Her tears and shaking hands told the story of terror she had endured. Greg and his crew tried to defend themselves. "We were enforcing HOA law," Greg shouted. She resisted. The lead officer shook his head. "You're impersonating law enforcement, assaulting a pregnant woman, and harassing residents. That's not a law, it's a crime." Tanya handed over her phone, showing the live-recorded chaos, Greg pounding on the car, threatening her, trying to pull her out, and the other enforcers circling menacingly. The officers watched, their expressions hardening. Neighbors finally stepped outside, some recording, some shouting statements. "These guys have been bullying everyone," one man yelled. Another added, "They tried to extort me too." Greg flailed, realizing they were caught. "Wait. He attacked us," he tried to claim. But evidence piled against him, the videos, witnesses, and the men's fake HOA enforcement shirts and trucks. The lead officer turned to Marcus. "Thank you for intervening. You may have saved your wife's life." Marcus dropped to his knees beside Tanya, pulling her into his arms. "I'm here. You're safe." The three fake enforcers were handcuffed and led to police cars. Their trucks and fake equipment were confiscated. The neighborhood had never witnessed such a clear reversal of power, the bullies exposed, the innocent protected. As the police drove away with the criminals, neighbors approached Marcus and Tanya. "Thank you for standing up to them," an elderly woman said. "We were too scared to act." Marcus shook his head. No one should have to wait for a Navy SEAL to feel safe in their own home. The street was quiet again, but the image of Marcus protecting his pregnant wife, standing over the fake enforcers, would remain etched in the neighborhood's memory forever. A week later, the HOA board issued a public apology and dissolved their fake enforcement unit. Greg and his crew faced multiple charges for impersonating officers, assault, and attempted intimidation. The Browns were finally able to reclaim the sense of safety and peace they had longed for since moving in. Doctors reassured Tanya that the stress-related contractions had not harmed her baby, and she resumed preparing the nursery with renewed calm. Marcus continued his duties as a Navy SEAL, but the neighborhood now treated the family with respect, gratitude, and admiration. The couple installed security cameras and took proactive steps to protect their home, ensuring no one could harass them again. Their courage and resilience became a symbol in the community, proof that standing up to injustice, even when it feels overwhelming, can restore order and dignity. The Brown story spread, inspiring neighbors to finally speak out against harassment and reclaim control of their neighborhood. Greg and his crew faced multiple lawsuits and criminal charges, their scheme of intimidation fully exposed. The HOA implemented real oversight and hired legitimate security, ensuring no one could harass residents again. Tanya and Marcus were celebrated by neighbors as heroes who restored safety and dignity to the community. When their baby girl was born healthy, the street brought gifts and cards, honoring the family who stood against injustice. The Browns' courage became a lasting symbol, reminding everyone that bravery and truth can triumph over fear and deception. Justice shines brightest when ordinary people refuse to be silent. If this story moved you, comment your city, hit like, and subscribe. This channel shares real stories of courage, truth, and standing up against injustice, where power falls and justice always speaks loud.